Hey, everybody. So, I have to start it with what's up? What's up? I got to start the show with what's up? What's up? Did you miss me?
They'll get it in a minute.
Right. We are talking about Martin Lawrence's show, Martin, starring Martin Lawrence, Tisha Campbell, Tashina Arnold, Carl Payne, and Tommy Ford. Martin. I'm trying to think. So this is more than just a movie where we break down classic Black films, but this is season 5 for Leroy and I for this show, season 5. So we decided to do it differently in season 5, and we're breaking down classic Black TV. What can get more classic than Martin? Martin has spanned the generations, to my children loving them, to the ones under my children, to the ones older than Leroy and I. Everybody loves Martin. Everybody's favorite episode of Martin, they could just tell you line for line, what it is, what happened, what they were wearing, what they were doing, how they acted. Everybody has favorite episodes from Martin. That's just how it is. That's how you can tell it's a classic film, where I could just say, what's up, what's up, what's up? And y'all know what I'm talking about. Or if I say, did you miss me? Y'all gonna be like, that was Tommy Davidson with when they were going to Hollywood and they were trying to be on his show, LeVar, LeVar Hill show, and Jodeci was there. Like, you can just start talking about it and connect with somebody when it comes to Martin. All right, so Martin, from 1992 to 1997, Martin is an American TV sitcom that aired for 5 seasons on Fox. And the premise of the show, for those that don't know, I mean, I don't even have to read this to tell you, but I'm gonna read it anyway. So Martin Lawrence plays the role of Martin, a DJ who lives with his girlfriend Gina, played by Tisha Campbell, in the city of Detroit. Martin works for the fictional radio station What's Up, and later for a local public access. That was a hot mess. The hot public access TV channel, Channel 51. And it covers their lives. So the common theme of the series is Martin's selfish and free-spirited nature. Martin's sharp tongue and lack of filter often lead to comedic situations and conflicts with those around him, making for an entertaining viewing experience, to say the least. This is my co-host with the most host, is Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. Martin, Leroy, we're talking about Martin.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the staples of of the community, man. You can't talk about TV sitcoms of all times and not have that one be one of them. I mean, my favorite of all times is going to be the Cosby Show, but Martin. I mean, you got a whole list of them, and I think we still got a few more to go, but but Martin has got to be right up there on the Mount Rushmore of Black comedy shows. It just really was. I think I don't know of a Black person who did not like Martin, the show, who did not like the show.
Man, or a show that made you laugh out loud, like
yeah,
for real.
yeah,
like for real,
yeah,
like
for
a
real.
gut laugh, not a chuckle, but you'd be
Right.
like, Martin's a wild boy. He a wild boy.
Yeah, it really is. And just the creativeness of him and the writers that were on the show, and of course the cast, just for them to be able to execute what was written for the show. It was a perfect blend of actors and writing, you know what I'm saying, to be that creative. It made the 90s so much fun. You think about all of the Black comedy shows that were out in the 90s. That list alone. That list alone. That's why I tell people, Yeah, people can say what they want to say, but the 70s, 80s, and 90s was the most creative period era I've ever. I don't think there's one before, or that they'll come one after that
Yeah.
era, as far as music, entertainment, sports, the whole
Yeah.
just innovativeness. None of it, everything came out of those years.
Yeah.
Everything,
Yeah.
technology came out of it, entertainment came out of it, music came out of it, hip hop came out of it. We celebrating
Yep.
50 years of hip hop
Yep.
this year. Everything came
It
out
was
of that, just
yep.
in that era.
It was like
You
a
know,
hip hop show. It was like a hip
yeah,
hop.
it was.
It was
Yeah,
definitely for the culture. Like
right,
everything
for
that we
sure.
loved in the culture, from Carl Kanai to the
Yeah,
HBCU sweatshirts, you know what I
yep,
mean, to the hairstyles, to, Biggie being on there,
yep.
to all the different artists who came through there. It was a show for the culture, and it celebrated 30 years last year, and they had, I don't know if you saw the reunion, that was good, the 30-year
Hmm.
reunion that they all did together, except of course minus Tommy, but they did a tribute to him, and his wife and children were there, but they were
Mm.
just going through. So if you haven't caught that, definitely catch that, guys. And they were just going through the different episodes and how some of them were ad-libbed, and how, they had to, really hold it back because Martin would do something wild and they would crack up. Or, when Pam walked through with Biggie, or when they was like phony, 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 and Gina and them, Gina and Pam, and Dan, Gina, and just so many different things when you think about, and we'll talk about some of the phrases, and we'll talk about some of the lasting lines that people still use to this day. It's so many memorable moments on Martin, and so many lines that have people, you know, just cracking up. When you think about Martin, right? What are some of the episode you think about? Because we're going to talk about Martin. We're going to talk about how he played so many characters, Bill from accounting, and we're going to talk about Shanae. We're going to talk about Roscoe. We're going to talk about all of those, amazing character. Now, my Mama Biscuits, we're going to talk about how he played his Mama Think about the stuff that we say in everyday life that came from Martin. Anybody got a biscuit, they're gonna be like, not my mama biscuit. It ain't your mom, but you just gonna say it. Like it's just gonna come out. Like it's not, you can't, and you laughing just remembering the stuff. That's how funny it is.
Yeah,
Remember
man.
when he lost his job and he was at the unemployment office, and I think about where I still say when he be like, "Oh, Wallace." Remember when Wallace was, with the shoes and he was dating Pam? Like I just think of so many dumb sayings. My kids loved the Christmas one when she was like, when Miss Jerry said she was going to Atlantic City to find her a high roller. And remember when she was going and she said, "I don't want no dang tuna," and she, smashed it on the floor. And then my kids crack up laughing. My daughters laugh at that same episode. Remember when he had the Christmas tree being at Christmas time and he had the Nerf and it was like the sticky one. He was like, pow, 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 pow. Stupid stuff like that they'll say that you don't even, just, it's just dumb. Bruh, man, from the fifth floor.
Bro, man, from the fifth floor.
From
Yeah, the fifth floor. That's four fingers, y'all, from the fifth floor.
right. Got any sandwiches?
And I happened to be flicking the channel just the other day, and you mentioned about the HBCUs,
Mm-hmm.
and Gina was wearing a Morgan State
Mm-hmm.
sweatshirt
Mm-hmm.
on there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the thing that Cosby, Martin, that they actually really they did a lot for, I believe, did a lot for HBCU recognition
Mm-hmm.
and everything like
Mm-hmm.
that, to let people know, for the culture,
Mm-hmm.
like you said. And
Mm-hmm.
even Living Single did it too, because they wore a lot
Mm-hmm.
of black designer stuff. They wore a lot of black
Mm-hmm.
designer stuff, which I think
Mm-hmm.
was really was really was really great, and it
Mm-hmm.
gave some recognition to to some of us that were doing those kind of things
Mm-hmm.
early in in the mid 90s, man. It's just I don't think there'll be another show like Martin. I don't think there'll be another show like Cosby. Just all of those shows. I don't think there'll be another show like A Different World. I don't think there'll be another show like Living Single. All of those shows were they were individually good, but when you look at all of them collectively, and I think that's why part of the reason why we decided to do this, because they were so beautifully put together,
Yeah. Yeah.
in those years. In those years from
Yes.
the 80s go into the 90s, and then even somewhat into the 2000s. I think you had a couple of shows that were going into the
Yeah.
2000s that were good, but Martin, Living Single, Bill, the Cosby Show, A Different World, those are the staples to me.
Yeah.
They built what those other shows stand on, because to me
Yeah.
they set the standard. Martin set the
Yeah.
standard for what comedy was, and even his, like you said, just his creativity. You think about some of the characters that he created. It's like, what is this dude
Man.
on to be thinking? Mr. Otis. You got
Man.
get the karate guy.
I mean, so many different ones and so many it's just when you think about Martin, right? And you think about what kind of memories that gives us. And looking back, and because I did this for the Cosby Show, A Different World, I did it for a Living Single, and just the people
Yeah.
who graced the cast, right?
Hmm.
Who graced that set with their expertise with memorable episodes like Tommy Davidson, Barnell Hill, man, he's still walking around 30 years later like, did you miss me? And everybody that comes across Tommy Davidson ask him to say that. I went to go see
Really?
Tommy Davidson a couple years ago at Baltimore Comedy Club, right?
Okay.
Comedy, and he did his set. I was right there in the front row. I was sitting right there, and every time, and my daughters and I went, right? So the whole time they don't remember Tommy Davidson from In Living Color
Okay.
because they
Okay.
weren't
Okay.
old, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
They weren't
forgot to
even born.
mention In Living
So,
Color.
but they
I forgot that. I
remember,
forgot.
yeah, yeah. So they remember Living Color like Martin because they were still, my youngest daughter wasn't even born then. My oldest daughter was just born. So they remember some of the repeats and some of the popular
Hmm.
episodes of In Living Color. But Martin, they've watched from front to back a million times. So when Tommy Davidson was up there, and of course they know him from the Proud Family, obviously, but they kept saying, "Did you miss me?" Because that's their Hollywood swinging episodes, that part two.
Yeah.
We laugh so much. They've been watching that since they were young. So when Tommy Davidson was up there on that stage and they kept saying, "Did you miss me?" Everybody in the audience was like, "Did you miss?" He was like, "All right, I'm gonna say it." And all these years later, he was like, "Did you miss me?" People lost their mind in that place. And it was so funny. So that's the effect. Martin, Gary Coleman, Tommy Davidson, BIG. You got Thomas Hearns, David Allen Greer as Reverend Lonnie Love. Lord
I
have
know,
mercy.
right?
Lord have mercy when you think about that. Miguel Nunez, Pretty Ricky, what they call
Pretty
him.
Ricky, what they call him.
And let me tell you something. That the R&B group that came out a few years, well, not a few, it's been longer than a few years now. Pretty Ricky is the name of the group. And Miguel Nunez last year put it on his Instagram when the group member came up to him and was like, man, we got our name from your character on Martin. That's the name of the R&B group, Pretty
Wow.
Ricky. They got it from Martin. So it's almost like the culture and the gift that keeps on giving. Keith Sweat was even on there. Of course, Play
Yep.
from Kid and Play, Christopher Reeve. Chris Rock was on there. Remember, he was dating Shanae. Remember Donnie Simpson was the host, and Chris
Hmm.
Rock was going out with Sinead.
I mean, yeah, you
Lord,
just think about that.
think about it.
Keith
MC
Washington.
Hammer, Keith
Yeah,
Washington, Lynn Whitfield, because Lynn Whitfield came on there after they did Thin Line. She was on there. Marcus T. Paul. I don't want to move to Arizona. Me and my kids say that all the time. I don't want to go to Arizona. Remember when Martin thought he had a son? And it was
son.
Marcus
Hmm.
Paul from Moesha, Miles from Moesha. He wasn't on there then. But Joseph C. Phillips. We had Hawthorne James. For y'all who don't know that, that's Big Red from Five Heartbeats. He was on there. We had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kim Fields, Beverly Johnson. Who was Beverly Johnson? See if you
Hey,
remember
if y'all
that.
don't know, if y'all don't know who Beverly Johnson is, and I'm talking about before she
No,
was
who
on
was she on
Martin.
Martin? Well,
Yeah,
she
but
went to school with my parents. She
yeah,
went to
but
school
you
with my
gotta
parents.
go. You gotta watch the first season of
No,
Martin to understand.
wait. Go ahead, tell them who it is.
That's that's what I'm saying. You got to watch the first season because he talked about his teacher back in the day. I don't know if he said was it high school or elementary school teacher. I don't know if she was. I think she had to have been middle school or high school because he had a crush on her. He had a major crush on her. But it was
What was
it
her
was it
name,
was
Leroy?
it it was Miss no, it was Miss Crab. Was it? No, it wasn't Crabtree.
Miss
Who
Trinidad.
was it?
Wasn't it Miss
Miss
Trinidad? Was
Trinidad.
it Miss
That's it. Yeah,
Trinidad?
Miss Trinidad. Yeah, it
Was
was
it
Miss
Miss
Trinidad.
Trinidad?
Miss Trinidad. It was Miss
Whew.
Trinidad. Miss Trinidad. He talked about her the whole first season because he would come on before the show would come on, and he would always talk about Miss Trinidad. Miss Trinidad was this, and Miss Trinidad in her class, and this, that, and the other. So when they finally, and I don't know if she came when she came on, but he
That's
picked
a
the
good
perfect person.
point, Leroy. That's a
Yeah, I
good point.
can.
People don't realize that. So go back and look at season one to see how many times he talks about Miss Trinidad.
Miss Trinidad. And then to finally have the character, he created the character and he had Beverly Johnson play her because she is just
Mm-hmm.
Miss Beautiful. If y'all don't know who
Yeah.
Beverly Johnson is, y'all need to go look her up because she was other than Jane Kennedy and
There you go. There you go.
yeah,
Leroy
yeah,
got his list,
Jane.
y'all.
I know Jane Kennedy, Thelma from Good Times, Pam
Bernadette
Greer,
Stannis.
yeah, Bernadette, Pam Greer, they and Beverly Johnson were every young black boy's crush growing up in the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
She was a supermodel. Beverly Johnson was a
Yeah.
supermodel for those that
Yeah.
don't know. She was a supermodel back in the I think she did was 70s and 80s, I believe it was,
Mm-hmm.
even into the
Mm-hmm.
90s. But
Was
that was the perfect person to play her. I thought that was
because she
that was
had
a
to be
perfect.
still fine. She had to
Yeah,
be still
yeah,
fine. Like you
right.
had to be able to envision. So you
Yeah,
had to have
yeah.
somebody fine. You couldn't have, nobody that wasn't fine playing that because they'd be like,
Right.
he had a crush on her. You had to have somebody still fine. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah, she was the perfect person. But you mentioned Pam Grier. She was on there too.
yeah. Yep,
Remember the
yep.
Players Ball? Wasn't she on
Yeah.
there?
Oh, he had the who was it? He had what's his name from
Outcast.
Starsky and Hutch? Yeah,
Yes.
from Starsky and Hutch.
Steven, he
My
had
man Huggy.
Huggy
It was
Bear.
Huggy. Yeah,
Huggy
Huggy
Bear.
Bear.
He
And
had
the other one, the one that played the Mac, I think it was. Was it the one that played the
yeah,
Mac?
he
He was on
did.
there too. I
Yep.
forgot his
And he
name,
had
but he had
Stephen
all of
K.
them.
and 21 Jump Street. Stephen K. Williams was on there. Who else? John Witherspoon was on there.
Oh yeah, oh
Sherman
yeah, oh yeah.
Hemsley. Sherman Hemsley was on there. Oh, so the question is who wasn't on there, really?
Right, right. That's true.
Who wasn't on there? So let's talk about some of the music guests he had on there. He had BBC and CC Winans. He had Tone Loc. You talked about Keith Washington. He had Keith Washington. Remember, he was in that was Gina's old
Yeah.
boyfriend.
Oh.
And he said he was so insecure about Keith Washington. Because remember they sang the closer I get to
Yeah,
you. um
indeed.
Outcast was on there. Who else was on there? Let me see. Outcast was on there. Um we talked about Biggie. It's just so many people who came through. Your favorite singer's favorite show is Martin. Your favorite actor's favorite show is Martin. Like everybody that came through there, um, you didn't even know that they were going to be a big star, but they were on Martin. Um,
Hmm.
my well, my old, boyfriend. Remember the one that was on the Cosby Show? We talked about him. He was even on Martin. He was the one. He was with AJ um Sanders, and no, he was with Victoria. The episode where they had the baby. Remember the baby
Yeah, yeah,
came
yeah,
out
yeah,
and then
yeah,
they
yeah,
left the
yeah,
baby there with him.
yeah.
He
And that's
was the
what
dad
yeah, with
on,
them.
yeah, on there. So when you think about Martin, like what are some of the favorite episodes that stick out for you?
Well,
See, he's laughing without even saying it because
I
he
know,
knows.
right?
That's what he's
The one I liked was when they did the New Jack City remake when he played Nino and he had the dog he had the dog he had the stuffed dog
And look, you got on black right
because
now
somebody
with
stole his, what
the
was it, a
gold chain.
CD.
But
It was a
wait, you
CD
got
that,
on the black shirt with the gold chain.
yep.
Remember, everybody wore the black with the gold.
Everybody had that black on. So, and they were trying, you could tell they were trying to hold it together. They were trying to hold it together. All of them were trying to hold it together at that, during the
Oh my
scene.
god!
I don't know how they kept it together because that was just hilarious. That was so fun. That's the one that kind of comes to mind right away. But it was just so many. And when he like you talked about the Vernell Hill when he did that one when he was with
Mhm.
Jodeci, he thought he was gonna go on the road with
Oh,
Jodeci.
well, with
Just
that Jodeci did not know he was going to come out and do that.
oh
That
really?
was their real act. That Yup, that's what Martin
Oh
said it,
wow.
and Casey said it on a podcast. Martin said it. He didn't. They didn't know he was coming. So
Oh
all the
wow.
reaction that you see with Jodeci,
Was
it
real.
wasn't acting. They didn't know that he
Wow.
was going to come. They thought that they were just a guest singing group on the episode. They had no idea that
Okay.
they would be part of the joke and
Right.
all of that.
But I
And
guess that's
then
what made it really authentic though too. That
it
made it
made
more
it
authentic that
hilarious.
they did know. If they didn't
Yes,
know. So
and your favorite episode with the New Jack City, that's everybody's episode, but they were supposed to bring Martin a real dog. And somehow
oh okay.
he talked about this on the reunion, and
Okay.
somehow they didn't bring him a real dog. So they was all looking like, I know he ain't about to use this stuffed
Let's
animal
prop.
dog. And that's why they was
That's what
all
made it
cracking
funny.
up because and Tashina said in the reunion, Tashina said when he told, she said, I lost it when he told that dog to stay. And he was trying to get him to sit. We tried to tell him to sit. And he was trying, making sure. And then when the little thing fell over, they said they could not keep it together. I
That's
can't
just I don't know how
even.
they did it. I don't know how
I
they did
can't
it
even
sometimes because it was
imagine.
just absolutely and I think about the remember the episode where Gina got her head caught in the headboard and
Oh Lord, that
she
was
did a
so.
presentation with the big headboard and what's the comedian, what's his name, Michael Collier, he was her boss. He was like how you, he was like you just
Oh,
gonna act like it wasn't even there.
oh my God, you have me cracking up. And I'm thi- and as you're talking about that, one of my favorite it's hard to say a favorite, but one of my favorite episodes too is when they was going to the class reunion and Gina had to go to the dentist and she
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
talk and she
yeah.
wanted to support him and she was talking like this and she was trying and she went to the reunion and he was that was hilarious. That
Yeah.
was hilarious when she went and she was like, because she was trying to support her man. and she didn't know how wild she looked. And when she came in there, the way he looked at her, OMG. It's
Yeah,
so many
it
funny
is,
episodes. If
and
you're watching live or the playback, tell us in the comments what your favorite, episode of Martin is. And I know you're gonna say I can't think of a favorite. And we're going to talk about some of the characters Martin played too. And that's not an easy thing to do, playing yourself and then all of the
yeah,
characters and
yeah,
make it
yeah. That takes real
real and
talent.
funny, because sometimes it can come off corny. Like sometimes Martin, sometimes sometimes it was annoying where he was too over the top, but
Hmm.
it was still
Hmm.
funny. But I remember in the episode I'm thinking about is when he played his mom and he was running up and down the church. Remember that he bit off a piece of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and at first it's like, okay, Martin, how many times you gonna do that? But then you still got a extra chuckle to laugh at his foolery.
yeah.
His
For
foolery. And then
real,
remember he
for
was gonna
real.
become a monk. He left. He was trying to be a monk.
Oh, yeah,
Remember?
yeah, yeah. I
And
think about that one,
Rebo.
but you know the one, like you said, there's certain things that stick out. So many kind of tag things that we got from him. But I'm gonna say this, and I know you're gonna know the episode immediately, cause here it go. Don't you know no good? Don't you know
Don't,
no
don't,
good?
don't, don't. Oh my goodness. That
The
was so
whole
funny.
episode.
But remember they were in Tashina and Tisha were in Little Shop of Horrors. So I guess they brought them dresses
Yeah.
back to do that. Oh my goodness. You think about that and it's so freaking funny when you think
Yeah.
about some of that. And you think about this though. It wasn't even a whole lot to it. Most of the stuff was in Martin's apartment and it was
Right.
hilarious. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff was just them. That one time when they were freezing and they sent Cole out for the pizza and he came back, remember with when they lost the power?
you
Lord have mercy.
remember remember the episode, and all I'm gonna do is say one word: Hashitashi. When they had the big screen TV was as big as Martin's apartment.
Oh Lord. Oh, when he thought he want. Remember when they went to go get the TV and they were trying to share their money and they went to go. They weren't supposed to buy anything, and he went and bought the Hashitashi TV. And remember, he was charging everybody on the other to come
Yeah,
watch
to watch
the
the fight.
fights and
Yeah.
to do all of that. When you think about Big Shirley, when you think
Yep.
about Cole's character and Rena Spoons. Remember when what was it? MC Hammer was on the Rent a Spoons, and you think about Gina and trying to have her career and how he was like he didn't need Gina. Remember they would have the fights and the breakups, and we remember when they got engaged and how everybody was so
Hmm.
invested when Brian McKnight
Yeah.
was speaking
Yeah, I was
on
gonna say, yeah,
sing.
Brian McKnight. We didn't mention him. We didn't mention him about being on there
No,
too.
but they even have a Martin Lawrence trivia game. They have a Martin Lawrence trivia game that you can purchase. All right, let's
Oh,
get
okay.
into some trivia. I don't know. This is not in the trivia game, but let's get into some trivia. The episode Going for Mine was a backdoor pilot, remember, of the spinoff starring Tisha Campbell, Tashina Arnold as Pam, but it never came to fruition. Remember, they tried to have an episode within that to give
Yeah.
her. Remember, she was working at the music, but that wasn't
Well, they
working.
did, didn't
So
they have?
in the
Wasn't it on for a minute? I thought it was on for maybe a
yeah,
couple
they had
episodes.
but with Dondre Whitfield was on there, but
Yeah, right.
it never took off. In the episode where Gina loses her job, she and Martin argue about redecorating the bedroom with the colors pink and green. Gina says they're her sorority colors, a reference to AKA. So we're talking about the culture. We're talking about HBCUs and now black sororities. They introduced so many things to people who had no idea what a HBCU was, what a
Right.
sorority was. You know what I mean? What
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the artists were. And then on the flip side, it was familiarity for a lot of people who knew what those things were. It was representation and it was clearly intentional.
Right.
Um Remember in the talent show episode, the song Push, he even gave her that opportunity to sing Push, and that was Tisha Campbell's real song. The character Tommy, who was often the butt of the jokes, you ain't got no job, Tommy. Um, Hints that he worked for the Boys and Girls Club. Do you remember that? I don't remember that. That he
What's that?
hinted that even though they teased him about not having a job,
Mm-hmm.
he was supposed to work for a organization like Boys and Girls Club. I didn't catch that,
What?
but that's
Not well.
true.
The only episode that I can remember that they kind of hinted at Tommy was, remember the Christmas episode. It was a Christmas episode where Martin played Santa Claus and he went to the school.
Yes, I
That was
remember
Tommy.
that.
That was supposed to be Tommy. He went there because of Tommy.
Tommy, right. Yeah,
Yeah, so
that's true.
I'm thinking that was a referencing to him,
Yeah,
being, in the job that he had. Now it didn't mean that he was in the school system because Tommy ain't had no job. So,
yeah. He ain't had no
but
job.
that was,
Now
yeah, that
here's
was
the
one that was
I get no, go
no
ahead.
good.
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. That was it.
Now, this is what I didn't know. If you knew this, then hats off to you, Leroy. I didn't know this. For the titles of the second season episode, all the titles were variations of songs by the members of the Jackson family.
Mm-mm. What you
I
mean?
gotta
I'm
go
trying to.
back and look at some of the episodes. So all the titles of the episodes were
Oh
based
yeah,
off of the
I
Jackson.
have no idea. Okay, I
Yeah.
had no idea. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And here's a trivia that I didn't know like a couple years ago. The series inspired Big Sean's music video, Play No Games. It's all, if you see it, it looks like the Martin set. So if nobody's ever watched it, I think it came out like a couple years ago, but it's
Okay.
all remake of the Martin, and even Martin and Bruh Man appeared in the video. Um the episode featuring a game against the U.S. women's basketball team, Tommy's
Yeah, that was
jersey
a good one.
reveals, yeah, his last name, um, and not Strong. So remember, we know his name is Tommy Strong, but it
Hmm.
really wasn't Strong. It was Strawinn, Strong. So they
Okay.
said that they put a jersey with him wearing his name, but a lot of people didn't catch that, of course.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and there's a poster on the wall. Many people might have seen this for the Spike Lee film Do the Right Thing, which Martin played C
Hmm.
in. So that's
Yeah,
why the Do the
yeah.
Right Thing is significant in there. And we already talked about Brother Man saying the fifth floor, but holding up four fingers. In Martin's apartment for the first couple of seasons, he hung two rap posters on his walls. One was the fruits of nature. The other one was Tupac. Do you know who the future the UMCs he did Fruits of Nature and then Tupac. Um Prior to starring in Martin, Carl Anthony Payne and Tashina Arnold both made a guest on what show? Your show, your favorite
Well,
show. Your favorite show.
Carl Anthony Payne was on Cosby because he was Cockroach.
And Tashina guest starred on there as well. So
I'm
they
trying to
came
think
back
of
together on Martin.
yeah, I'm trying to think of what episode she was on the Cosby though.
Yeah.
Was she one of Denise's friends or something?
She was a guest. Remember, I remember her on there. And I can
Mhm.
picture her, what she looked like and everything on there. I can't remember the exact episode, but she was
Okay.
definitely on there. So
Yeah.
on the flip side, Tommy McKell Ford and Tisha Campbell, what other show were they on?
Well, Tommy was on New York Undercover.
Put it
T. I
this way,
mean,
I'll give you a hint.
T.
He played somebody's husband on that show. And he said, baby
Oh, he
girl.
was on. He was on Monique's show. He was on.
Not
What
that
was his name?
one. That was a good, the Parkers. That's
Yeah, the
true.
Parkers.
But think about it. Think about, okay, Tisha Campbell was on this show, and so was
Tisha
Tommy.
Campbell.
Not together, separate seasons, but they both were on the show. And Tommy made more than
Before
one appearance. Tisha only
before
made one.
Martin.
Hmm. Both of them before
Mm,
Martin. If you
really?
guys are watching and you know, put it in the comments.
Yeah, I'm trying to. You got me with that
You
one.
know, you're gonna kick yourself in the booty when you don't, when I say it. He
I'm sitting
played
here.
Jaleesa's husband on A Different World.
Oh, I
You
don't
don't
remember
remember?
that. No, I don't
Really?
remember that.
He was on there
Yeah,
multiple times and he kept saying baby girl, baby girl. And remember Tisha Campbell was on there when she was supposed to be the student that contracted HIV.
yeah. I do remember. Yeah, because she was in the
But
class. She was in
Tommy
the
was
she was in the
on,
class. I do. Okay, I got you
yeah.
with that one. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
Tommy was
yeah.
on like the first season, I remember he's been on multiple times and he used to say baby girl. I remember when he first came to Hillman, all the
Really?
girls were like, "Ooh, he's fine. Who is he?" And then they found out that was Jaleesa's ex-husband Lamar.
His husband.
Remember it was Lamar.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that though, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. But
So
man, but
Martin,
that
go
goes to
ahead.
show you no, that just goes to show you, man, those relationship how relationships. I don't know if it
Hmm.
had anything to do with them, but like you said, them coming back together on Martin and all of that stuff,
Hmm.
but how the industry is so small when it comes to the world becomes very small when it comes, because
Yeah.
even
And Black
within
Hollywood is
even
not large.
without yeah even within our industries that we're in, you know there's certain people that you get to see all the time, that
Hmm.
you get to
Hmm.
see kind of in the rounds that you make and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So it's the
Hmm.
same thing with this,
Hmm.
man. But that's crazy though. That's crazy.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
I was definitely thinking about the Parkers though.
Mark, yeah, but he was definitely on there too. He
Yeah.
was he was Monique's ex-husband.
But that
But
was after
Martin,
that was after Martin though
yeah,
too. Couldn't think of it.
yeah,
That was after Martin. That was after
yeah.
Martin.
Well, Martin Lawrence popularized, of course, the catchphrase "You go, girl." I
Mm-hmm.
remember he said he heard that on House Party with AJ Johnson and Tisha.
Mm-hmm.
But Lawrence originally used the phrase in his stand-up comedy routines prior to the TV show. Martin Lawrence's production company was called You Go Boy Productions, and the title scene in the credits. So this trivia I think is so cool. Y'all remember before Martin and all of that, Martin Lawrence's first show was What's Happening Now. Do y'all remember
Mm-hmm.
that?
Mm-hmm.
And he got to pay homage and work with Shirley Hemphill was on there. Remember on Martin? We know Fred Berry rerun was on Martin. Ernest Thomas, Roger was on Martin. And I just thought that that was so cool. So Fred Berry rerun, he guest starred on Martin, but Berry was fired from What's Happening Now before Lawrence got on there. So although they were on the same
Mm-hmm.
show, Rerun got fired before they hired
Wow.
um Martin. So I like the fact that he still had him on his show, even though he didn't get a chance to work with him. So Gene, let me give you guys, if you're watching it live or the playback, who knows what Gina did for a living and what was her degree in? Does anybody know that? Because I didn't know that. I didn't know what her degree was in.
Yeah, I don't know what a degree
But
was
she
in, but
talked
she
about
worked
it.
for. Did somebody just say that right there?
No, I love just about
Mm.
every show, but the standout one was I was gonna say that when he got all big. I thought about that too earlier. When Tommy Hearns, remember he was boxing Tommy Hearns, and Gina was like trying to pat his face, and she
Yeah.
was like, "Ugh." He was like, "What?" But Gina's degree was she had a master's in public relations. That's
Yeah, I
what
was gonna say
she
she
was
was a
supposed to have.
marketing. She was a. I know she worked for like a marketing
Yeah,
agency, wasn't it? Her and Pam. Her and Pam
yeah.
worked for the marketing
They
agency.
together. And all right, so throughout the series, Pam jokes about Martin being short. Tashina Arnold is 1 inch shorter than Martin. She's 5'6". Martin is 5'7". So he part of your short boy club, Leroy. Leroy.
Yeah, but
Leroy.
I didn't realize that he. I mean, that's a little taller, but yeah, but definitely 5'7" in neck tall, but you know, but yeah, I knew
Yeah.
he wasn't that tall.
So people
I
that
knew he
have
wasn't
never
that tall
seen
at
it
all.
before.
Say it
Yeah,
again.
people who've never seen us before. I was just telling people if you're watching for the first time, we always talk about height on the show because, Leroy is on the shorter side, extremely confident. And he was like, how come they always want somebody tall, dark, and handsome? Because our short man got it going on too. And Leroy is extremely confident. So he always be pointing out, this one's short. Look at how he working and how he da da da. So I thought that would be good. And then, of course, the show, I said it earlier, but where did the show take place?
You said it. You actually said it
Let's,
in the beginning
I
too.
know. So I'm going to give a couple seconds for you guys watching live. What city did Martin take place? I'll give y'all a couple seconds to put it in the chat, put it in the comments before I say it.
If you know, you know. You couldn't have watched Martin and not know this, man.
They ain't saying it. What city was Martin supposed to be filmed in? All right, Leroy, tell them.
Yeah, it's Detroit, the Motor City,
The Motor City. Even Cole
the
Brown
home of.
worked for the Detroit airport.
Hmm. Yeah, right. Cole did. Yep, him and Big Shirley. Him and
Cole
Big
worked for the
Shirley.
airport.
Yeah. And Tommy still ain't got no job.
Him and Big Shirley.
Yep.
Still ain't got no job. My
But
charger don't let
Detroit,
my charger's
yeah,
acting like it's on
Detroit was
charge.
definitely
Hold up. Don't go
the
dead on
home
me.
plate,
I put it on beforehand. Okay, act
and
like it did.
WZUP was where Martin
No, go
worked.
ahead. My charger.
I like yeah, we forgot. Well, I think we said he worked
Right.
for WZUP, but worked for Stan Garrett A. Morris.
My charger is not charging my thing like normal, so I don't know. I had it charged the whole time, but it looks like it's not charging it. I hope we don't die. If we die, then
Uh-oh.
I'll recharge it, but Leroy will still be on here. But I'm not sure why it's not. They're acting like it don't want to charge. What's going
Is
on?
it plugged into the outlet?
But it's plugged in. Yeah, it's plugged in, but it's acting goofy.
Are you, Gracie, are you able to unplug it and plug it back in without it going out?
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, go ahead. Keep the show going. I'm a do.
Yeah, so but yeah, he the show happened in Detroit, and I know we're gonna get to this, and I know we only got a little bit of time left. And I wanted to talk about some of the characters on the show that Martin played, but then also we'll get into, because I want to ask Kendell this before we do leave. I want to ask her who was her favorite character out of the characters that were on there: Pam, Tommy, Cole, or Martin. Which one was Gina? Which one was her favorite character? And then out of all of Martin's characters, which one was her favorite. Was her favorite because I know for me, out of all of the characters that Martin played, um, two of my favorites. Yeah, I don't know if it's yeah. Two of my favorites. One was Otis, was Mr. Otis, because he Otis gonna break you down, boy. Gonna break you down, boy. Gonna break you down. Um, and either Otis or what's his name, Jerome. Jerome's in the house. Jerome's in the hot house, and even and I just thought about the episode that came on, well, that they did the players ball, and we mentioned that, and how Jerome was in the players ball, and he was like, what's wrong, you can't call nobody. I know y'all remember that. That was a funny episode too. But those are the two characters that Martin played that I liked, was Jerome and what did I say the other one was Jerome and I don't forgot that quick.
Well,
Jerome.
Roscoe.
No, not Roscoe. But it was Jerome and I'm sorry, and Otis. I said Jerome and Otis were my two favorites. Who would I'm gonna ask you this. Who were your two favorite characters that Martin played, and then which one was your favorite character on the show? Gina, Pam, Tommy, or Cole?
Dang. So let me think about the characters he played. Dang, he played 10 characters, y'all.
Did he? Yeah. Wow.
10.
Wow.
And I'm thinking about, okay, so he played Dragonfly Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I think. No. Roscoe,
Yeah.
not 10 for him. Roscoe, Otis. You said Otis. You like Otis.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Otis.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't forget about Hustle Man. He didn't play Hustle Man, but he gave Tracy Morgan that shot. Which one? I would have to say Shanae
Oh, I forgot
and
about Shanae,
Jerome.
but I ain't big on
No,
dudes
I don't think
playing women.
Shanae. That's the first one. I guess Jerome. I agree with you, Basine. I guess Jerome, because Jerome's in the house say, "Watch your mouth," and his
No,
breath
he's
looked like it stunk. It looked like he had that go-to for him for about 37 years, and it looked like his breath was stinking. Right? I guess I would have to say Jerome and Bob from accounting, just because of how he was dancing and how he was able to think outside the box and play, him with the little suit on and the tie and the hair. So I would say Jerome and maybe Bob.
because Jerome
Shanae
would
was based off of his sister. That's where
really
she
okay.
acted like his sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Jerome, and I think you're right about he had the yuck mouth. He had the yuck
Woo!
mouth. But Jerome had some lines though. I love the one from the plays, but what's the matter? You can't call nobody.
Call nobody,
and when
man.
he
And he was
and
always
when he
trying to
used to
hit up
mess
on
with
Pam.
right, what's up, junk in the trunk? Junk in the trunk, junk in the trunk.
You gotta say Jerome, and he had that old MCM looking outfit on. People were
Right.
still Martin, like they said, you are not really a star or you don't have a real hit show unless somebody plays you for Halloween. And every year between him and Tisha Campbell, they repost what people they repost people dressing up as them.
Okay.
So you asked who's your favorite character? Who's your favorite character? Ooh, who's yours? Oh, I don't know who mine is.
out of
Martin? Outside of Martin.
No, I honestly believe it or not, Tommy was my favorite character. Because Tommy was cool. He was
Oh,
there.
you
He was
stupid. I used to be like, you stupid.
right. But he was
You
always
need Jesus.
he was always out of the bunch. And you think about this, he was always out of your crew, always the level headed one. He was always the one that
You
folk
don't like the
that
short one? You turn it
who
against your people. Tom,
no ain't
Cole.
nah. No, Cole was stupid. Hey, what the hell did you say? I like Cole for?
Oh, you
Cole was
stupid.
stupid. but Tommy one, we both bald headed, so so. But Tommy was smooth. He always dressed well too. Always
Yeah, he
liked the way
did.
that Tommy
Yeah, he
all
did.
was always
Yeah, he
dressed to the
did.
nines. He was always dressing really, really, really nice
Yeah, he
on
did.
the show. He dresses how I like to dress. That casual dressed
Yeah,
up look. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
He
yeah.
gonna have a nice casual suit on, casual outfit on with the
True.
nice shoes and everything like that. So yeah. So yeah, Tommy was my favorite character
True.
on there. So yeah, definitely. Now,
Oh,
I'm gonna
who
ask
would
you
I
this.
say?
I, I got one more for you. You can think about all of these. Who was the character that you liked the most out of like Hustle Man, Bruh Man? Who were the other ones that they had that was like it was Hustle Man and Bruh Man were two of them. They might have been the only two
Then
that
you
I
had
can really think of.
then you had the landlord. What was the landlord's name?
Oh yeah, I don't remember his
Um,
name though. Yeah, I can't remember
I
his
don't know.
name. But but
Brother
yeah,
Man, he was funny on that show. He's not funny as I don't want to say this, but he's not as funny as a stand-up comedian when I saw his
okay,
special. But he
really
sure
okay,
is funny on and he just did a skit with I forgot the athlete's name. It was Bruh Man, Tommy Davidson, and the athlete. I have to look that up. And they
okay,
pretended
okay.
like the athlete was Brother Man's long lost son. And he was like, Daddy. And Bruh Man came through the window. This is just recently. And Bruh Man came through the window. He was like, Dad. And he looked like it really could have been his son. So he's still 30
Wow.
years later, people know him as
Yeah.
Bruh Man.
That bro man.
That's
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think what character that came through. I might not have one. Who's your favorite
Really.
character that came?
No, I like Hustle Man. I like Tracy Morgan. I thought Tracy
He
Morgan
was
was
funny.
was
He
hilarious.
was
He
funny
was
on that.
hilarious. Like, come on,
Yeah,
man. I'm
he
just
was
a brother.
funny on that.
I'm gonna tell you the
Yeah, that's
episode when
what's
he when
Whitney
he when he when
Hutton. Who did the Whitney
what
Hutton? The Whitney Hutton.
say it again.
When he did the Whitney Hutton shirt, supposed to be Whitney Houston, but it was Whitney
No,
Hutton. That's
no, not that
Hustle
one. But
Man.
that's funny though.
Hustle Man.
But the
No,
the
Hustle
the
Man gets my vote for that. 'Cause that's still classic.
when he was when Martin was trying to get the record deal for his cousin or Gina's cousin,
Oh,
and he was in there and he brought the little he had the little saxophone. He was blowing the saxophone. That was hilarious, man. I was too
yes.
done with it.
That has to be my favorite. Tracy Morgan was raw funny on there more than I ever
Yeah,
seen him funny.
yeah. He was
More
doing
than I ever
everything.
seen him
He
funny. He was funny on there.
you know what
Pick up
he
the
who,
pieces. Pick up the pieces.
but you remember his character reminded me of Good Times. Remember on Good Times, Lenny? My name is Lenny, and I got plenty.
Well,
So he was Hustle
when he
Man
opened
before Hustle Man. Then he had TVs,
Lenny
watches,
had
jewelry,
everything. He had everything.
TV
He had
guides. He had it.
that coat. Child, OMG.
But that's what I think
Oh
about when I think about Hustle Man. I think about Lenny, Lenny on Good Times.
That's man, Lenny had everything.
Yeah,
Lenny
he did. Lenny had everything, man.
had every. I'm looking at some of the episodes. Remember when I'm reading. It's so funny. I'm reading the episodes. I can't see the episodes, but I'm reading them and they remind me that wow, we know these just by even looking at the episodes. But I wanted to see I'll see that later, guys. So that's your homework. Look up the episodes for season 2, and they all correlate to the Jacksons in some type of way. But when him and Gina broke up, remember that one he was like, "I don't need you," and he closed the door. Remember when he was like sitting there crying like Gina, Gina, Gina. But or what about the one when the plumber
Yeah, they
in the
thought he was
apartment?
dead.
Remember they did the funeral? He was just asleep. Or what about,
Totally.
let's talk about the later seasons when Martin went to work for the television show.
Oh yeah,
Better
the studio. Yeah.
Better yet, let's talk about when they thought that they won that money and him and Gina came through on the little on the float in the TV station. Remember they had the fur coat on and he was like this. You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember that. I don't remember that
When he
episode.
worked at the TV show,
Okay.
when they y'all remember this episode when they thought he won. It's one of the funniest ones because I started using it as a meme and tried to just cut it because it's so funny. Where she had the fur coat on, they thought that they were about to be rich and didn't realize
Okay.
that the lottery ticket was
Okay.
broken
Okay.
up.
I think I vaguely remember that. Yeah, the ticket was fake, and they he did the
No, it
whole
wasn't
show or something
fake.
like that.
It wasn't fake. They won, but so did like 1,000 other people or
Other
something like
people.
that.
Oh,
So
okay.
they didn't get what they thought that they was going to get. But
Go
they
yeah.
came. Let me see if I can find the still of that because I can't play it on here. I don't want no copyright. Let me see if I could let me see if I can find it and you probably to jog your memory. But as we conclude, what are some of the other episodes, Martin and
No, that
Gina?
I mean, of course, the ones with Roscoe were always good. Um, when I mean, even some of the ones when I'm not big on the ones where he played Shanae, but the one he did when he had Kid on there and he did where she won the contest. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Um, but he just always I was messing with my buddy the other day, right? Because he was talking about his wife, right? And he was saying, how he run his household, this, that, and the other. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, you like that episode of Martin. He was and Tommy says, yeah, he says, out here, you might have heard, he said, when you was back there, she hurt you bad. She hurt you
Yeah.
bad.
This
But
one when they won the lottery, you don't remember that? And she
yeah,
was
because
like,
that was
pose. I can't play it. And they start posing and posing, and they got all dressed up because they thought they won the lottery, but they didn't really win the lottery.
uh
And it was a lot of it was they were supposed to win like they're supposed to win a $500,000 and
oh,
their
okay.
ticket
Okay.
showed that they won, but the reality of it was they had to split it with all of these people.
All those other people.
But it's
Mm-hmm.
different episodes that you remember that. Once you see that episode
See it.
again, you're gonna
Yeah.
be like, I remember
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
I remember. And
Definitely.
Nipsey, but Nipsey just passed too. The one that played Nipsey was his
Oh,
real
okay.
friend. It was his real
Okay.
friend, Sean. And sadly, he was just on the 30-year reunion. But
Oh,
he
wow.
was saying
Wow.
that was Martin's friend. He was never
Oh,
an
okay.
actor or 10. He put him on there. He was like, you playing Nipsey. And each
Wow.
episode, he was
That's
on
what's
there
up.
as Nipsey. So what about a friend like that? You know what I mean? Put money in his
Yeah.
pocket and gave
Yeah.
him, you know, because if they're all coming up together and he was not even trying to do it or that wasn't even
Right.
a thing, just like that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. For real. For
and
real.
I'm gonna put you on here. And he was like, what? But there's so many memories when it comes to Martin. What are some of you guys? I see you watching live. Welcome. What are some of your favorite episodes as we end uh of Martin? There's so many classic episodes. You have where Martin played Otis, and as we talked about in the in the motor vehicle in the DMV,
And
in the and when he was unemployed, we talk about when he was in the unemployment office, where he was trying to get his license,
right.
when he
Right. Right. Right.
Man, when he got into, we gotta say, pass the peas like we used to do. I said, pass the peas like we you. Millie Jackson was on there. Like it's so many.
Woo!
Remember her started singing,
Millie
pass
Jackson. Oh my God. Millie Jackson. Mm-mm-mm.
Millie Jackson. It's so many episodes of Martin. You know what I mean? So many memories. The Thanksgiving episode when they were trying to be on a diet and Gina was pouring that gravy and he was like, it's just so many little episodes. Oh yeah. Episodes that are hilarious. And we're going to conclude with this um comment. Bay said when Martin and Gina finally got married on the beach. I just want to know why she was walking like that on that beach. If y'all ever remember the episode, she was like, I was like, why is she walking like that? Do you remember that, Leroy?
When
When
I don't
Babyface
remember paying attention to her way. Yeah, when Babyface, I don't remember paying attention to the way she was walking though. But
it's so theatrical and so like real at the same time.
okay,
It's
okay.
so
Maybe
theatrical and
maybe it
real
had to do with
at
the sand.
the
Yeah,
same
maybe it had to
time.
do with the sand. But yeah, but it's
Yes.
so it
But
is like you
just
said, it's
talking
so
about
many.
Martin. So what do you want to end with? What does Martin mean to you, the show?
No, like you said,
Leroy.
it was so much of the Martin was so a part of our culture, and it set to me it was one of those shows in the 90s that set the tone for everything else that we see today. I mean, Cosby set the level. I mean, even before then, the Jeffersons and Good Times, and that's why I'm glad that we did chronicle, the shows that we chronicle, and we haven't done the Fresh Prince yet, have we? Did we do the Fresh Prince yet?
No,
Yeah. So
no.
even, all of those shows that came about in the 90s, that were such big hits. And again, it was because part of it was because they were our age. This was our age. These were folks that were our age that
Yep,
were, that had these shows. So the shows
yep,
we could directly relate to because this were things that we
yep,
were, that we kind of either experienced or we knew about, and that made them funny. Everybody knew, like I said, the funniest episode with them playing Nino Brown. That's because New Jack City was out. New Jack City was one of the
yep,
hottest movies of the 90s.
yep,
That came out
yep,
that came out before Martin. It was about 90, 91 maybe, I think it was, when New Jack City came
yeah,
out. But for them to do, so we could relate to the different, the different episodes that the writing that they did on that show. So it was, yeah, it's definitely one of the staple shows in our, in our culture, you know
yeah,
definitely in our culture. So
yeah.
it's unforgettable. And like you said, that show is actually generational. Cosby Show is generational. Living Single is generational. Your kids
Man,
could watch those shows today
yep,
and understand them
yep,
and find them funny. They really
yep.
could. They really
Find
can.
them extra funny, like hilariously
Yeah.
funny. Like the
Yeah.
the the children of the day, even my daughters, they're not children anymore, but their generation. So the
Yeah.
millennials, the generation, what do they call them? Z's, X. I think
X's.
we're X. I get confused with that sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
But
Gen Y, Gen
they
X, all
still are able to, right, all A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
I know, right?
They are classic shows. Like Martin is one that if I put on Martin right now and I just pick any episode, just close my eyes and pick any episode, I'm going to know the episode. I'm going to tell you what's
Yep,
going to happen in the episode. I'm going to crack up laughing before the scene comes.
for
And
sure.
it's just going to instantly make you happy. That's what because it's so dumb. Some of the stuff
Yeah.
is so dumb. Some of it is smart. Some of it is comical. Some of it is um sarcastic. It's just a little bit of everything, and you can tell that they were having a good time doing it. Those
Yeah.
episodes with Tommy Davidson and Barnell Hill and Martin were some of the funniest ones, because you can see Martin trying to, he was like, lazy, he was like, I ain't too lazy. Remember, he was talking about the gravy and rice and gravy. I ain't too late. He was making up stuff, and you can tell by Martin's face, like there was no script there. They were just going off of each other, two guys from the DMV area going back and forth with each other, just right, no script, just right off the cuff. And it was hilarious. You can see, if you watch that scene when they're at the radio station and Martin is interviewing Barnell Hill, if you just see them sparring back and forth comically, it cracks you up. You can see Martin holding back his laughter. You can see him shaking like this. You can see Tommy doing the same thing. Like, it's just so funny. We can't forget about Garrett Morris, who plays Stan on the show. We got it, veteran. He comes from Saturday Night Live. So just so many amazing people graced us with their presence on episodes of Martin. Some of the people
And
got their start Martin. Snoop Dogg was on there. So many people that said that when you called, I came. I just wanted to be a part of it. When I watched the 30th reunion of Martin, which is, I think, still available online. Stoop was on there, and he had people come back, and Martin was so gracious. He was like, thank you for, even saying yes, being a part of it. And they like, what? That's like our favorite show too. At that time, they were excited to be on there because it was the hottest ticket in town. And I remember Will Smith in his book, y'all know I done read that book 6 times, but he said that he knew his show was good. And even though Fresh Prince ranked higher across the board when it came to viewership, he knew Martin's show was our show and the people's champ. And he said he knew he didn't have what Martin had instinctively. So where he thought Martin was his biggest competitor, Martin ended up being his best ally in this entire business.
Yep.
And I thought that was pretty dope.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because it's kind of ironic that they did to two, and they probably had two of the biggest shows in the 90s. You think about that; those were probably the two biggest shows in the 90s.
It was.
It was. I mean, and I'm talking even with Living Single, because you think of all the shows that came out in the 90s, all of the comedy shows, those two were probably the biggest out of all of them. Like you said, in the way that you were saying that Martin Lawrence and Will wound up, working together in a franchise movie. The Bad Boy franchise. That's kind of cool. It is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I got one more. I got one more episode for you, and I don't know if you remember the episode that Pam was hypnotized to be Martin, and she was acting.
Man.
So I thought that was hilarious.
She was acting like Martin. That was funny. She was acting.
Yeah, I thought that was a funny episode too.
She was doing all this and acting goofy on the show. Yeah, but it is everybody, and we talked about this in the beginning of the show, Leroy, and you mentioned it again a few minutes ago as Basine said it. As we open up the show, this was a show for all ages. Like, you can watch this with your grandparents, you can watch this with your children. It was just goofy fun. That still is the gift that keeps on giving. So, all right. So as you end this show, what we got to say as we end?
Well, we know what the people got to do. Let the people know that y'all got to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button down there. Hit that notification bell so you know when Miss Kendell is going to be on YouTube and everything else. You got to hit that subscribe button, the subscribe button and notification button, and put your comments. Like if you're watching the replay and your favorite episodes, what do you remember about Martin? The show Martin. Your favorite character. From Martin out of the crew, and then also the favorite characters that Martin played. Because like you said, he played 10 characters. I didn't realize it was that many, but yeah, I knew it was a lot. No, I didn't realize that.
That was wrong. It wasn't 10. It wasn't 10. That was a mistake. They had 10 characters on there and they included his in that 10.
Oh, okay,
So it
okay, because
wasn't
he
quite
played, but he played like at least five. He played at least
10.
five of them, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that
I told
that
you I
goes to
went
show, but that
trying to
goes
get
to
him
show
when they
you,
was trying to get
yeah, and it just shows you his genius though too, his comedic genius that he was, that he could
Martin.
play multiple characters like that, because it's not, there's very few comedians that could pull it off. I mean, I think
Mm-hmm.
about Eddie Murphy, I think about Flip Wilson, who was probably the original that played, you know, multiple
Gerald.
characters and stuff like that. So yeah,
Mhm.
Martin is definitely, you know, definitely a you know, an icon, you know, great comedian and timely and everything like that.
Yeah. And they did the back and forth to Sheena in because we talked about the Jeffersons too. So I want to make that
Yeah.
comparison as we in. Martin was like a modern day George Jefferson, and they're sparring back and forth to Sheena Arnold Pam, and Martin was like Florence and George
Yeah,
Jefferson, if you
for
noticed.
sure.
And even Martin walk and stuff, it just was remembrance of George Jefferson. And one of my favorite episodes that just came to my mind. Remember when Martin took that dance break and he started when he said, "This is gonna be the last time I dance before as a single man." He was like, and then he straightened up himself and he was ready to go. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic Black films. This is season 5 of More Than Just a Movie, where we're breaking down classic Black TV shows in season 5. Leroy, we have one more episode before we go on winter break and start with season 6. What episode should we do next week?
Well, I said it, Fresh Prince.
Oh, that's right. The Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Yeah,
We will end the
yeah.
classic TV breakdown next week. I was looking at the comment. Next week, the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Basine said my top 3 comedians are Richard Pryor, Eddie, and Martin. All right,
Hmm.
y'all. Talk to y'all later. Remember, you're a star. Don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Till next time, God bless. Peace. Make sure y'all watch some good TV. Make sure y'all watch Martin. Put it in the comments. Make sure you watch something that brings joy to your heart. All right, me and Leroy love some TV and we love some movies, and we hope you do too. We hope you come back for season 6, Leroy. Well, we got still season 5 next week, but season 6, we got to come with something. So if y'all got any ideas on what we should do with this show for season 6, if you're watching live or the playback, put it in the comments. All right, Leroy, love you, man.
Love you back later.
I need you to sing Martin real quick. Sing some of the theme, and I'm gonna let you go ahead, Leroy. As we end, go
uh,
ahead.
Say Martin, Martin. You so crazy.